person or sense that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was.
So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies, but Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you. Like, it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves.
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
What do you mean again? These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why, you know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job. Why do you think Gary Owen can't cross over and he already white and been in comedy for 25 years? If what I say ain't the case. It's a cabal. It's a consortium. They rock with who they rock with and they don't with who they don't. But I'm not scared of being the competition any more than you were when you lined up across from a superior team. Yeah, on paper, they're a better team.
Right.
They have all the assets and resources and we don't. But let us get on the line, boy, and see if that factors in. I guarantee you it won't.
Wow.
Because Shannon Sharp got to be a different person than that other person.
Absolutely.
And he always was. That doesn't change when I change teams. That remains the same. That's how a legacy is built. So all of these shortcut takers, they canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to suck my penis in front of all my people at my agency. What am I supposed to do? He did all of that. I'm thinking I'm the only black person on the script. I get there, it's 3 other black guys on there. Woo. Huh.
So you wonder what they did to get there.
I told him no. What y'all do? And this is why when I walk in a room, heads go down. Behind my back, I'm nothing. I'm just a regular old comedian that's bitter and jealous. But in my face, no. The king has walked in and they have to respect it only because I've not taken the shortcuts. I've not been funded. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves. I can't do that because Steve told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up because he got in a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 people and lost because Katt Williams said he was actually bald and that was a wig. And I went in, and that's why he couldn't do stand-up anymore. Imagine him coming to tell you another story where he got so big and it was Bernie and them's fault because they wanted to be movie stars. What? You called Ocean 11 to get that nigga's part. What do you mean you didn't want to be a movie star? So on the behalf of Bernie, I would have to say what I have to say.
Have you ever been on tour with any of these guys?
Every guy I mentioned to you is not funny out there in real life. So no. Faison's never done his own tour in 30 years. Steve Harvey don't do stand-up no more. Cedric doesn't write. I'm sorry, he doesn't write. Ricky Smiley has been playing the same old black woman forever. Like, you can't get a young fan base with that. Like, you gotta be doing karaoke around the country to make that work.
Right.
And he is. But I'm a stand-up comedian. This is my 19th 100-city tour. I'm not gonna have a conversation with these lazy bums that'll take a shortcut at any point. Yes, it's easier for you to juice than to get in the gym, but you don't get to bring that body in here talking crazy.
Talk about how good you look.
What? No, there's too many comics out there that are putting their life on the line to tell these jokes, man.
Okay. Let's get to your upbringing. We're going to circle back and we'll get...
I want to protect him real quick, because you had said for the Kings of Comedy, it was in 2018, 2019, but did you mean 1999? Because it came out in 2000, so I just want to make sure.
No, I didn't. No. So what I meant to say was, remember, he said I couldn't do stand-up anymore. I had 7 TV shows. I said he didn't have any of those TV shows at the time.
I know you talking about Cedric.
Joke stealing from Cedric.
Cedric.
Okay,
So you had said that 2018, 2019, but it came out in 2000, so I just want to make sure.
Okay, no. No. What comes out in 2000?
The original Kings of Comedy.
Right. I'm on BET's Comic View, and they're using this as the commercial in 1998. Okay. That's why I'm saying, yeah. So if I said the dates wrong,
let's go back and clear that up.
Okay.
You said, I had Cedric on here, and I asked him about the joke stealing, and he said the timeline doesn't add up.
Correct.
To that point, you say.
Right. So he thought that I was just a no-name comedian and that he could take this joke and nobody would know.
Right.
The issue was that I had already done this particular joke on BET's Comic View twice.
Right.
It had done so well on BET's Comic View that they had made it part of the commercial. So part of the commercial of make sure you tune in to BET was you seeing me doing this joke.
Right.
And this joke is one of those jokes in comedy where you set it up and it takes a little longer to set it up, takes about 3 minutes, but then you're just hitting them with jokes after that because you don't have to set it up.
Right.
Mark Curry had already helped me work on this joke because I thought it was good because I was getting a standing ovation on it. He had me go back in the lab and help me craft it to be an even more powerful joke. So this is not just a random joke. This is my very best joke, and it's my last joke, and it's my closing joke.
Okay.
1998, I'm doing this joke. It's on Comic View. Cedric comes to the Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the Kings of Comedy. And he's doing it verbatim. He's just changed my car into a spaceship. Him and Steve had already apologized for me, so I gave him a pass for a decade. Why would you sit here and be like, I saw Katt 30 times, and Katt didn't do, as I stand before you, Shannon, I would have bust Cedric's stomach. There was nothing that would have kept me from one of these in that patch right there. Like, are you kidding me? Why would you downplay me like that? Why did I give you a pass if you were just gonna lie? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, they're all a group. Cedric, Steve, Ricky, they've been a group. Everybody knows that. They've been aligned. And there are these alliances in comedy. And if you stand against them, then they sometimes have a problem. But we don't let that change the content because that's all you know me for, is that I'm quite likely to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Can you believe we're this deep into the NFL season? We got to make every second count. With DraftKings Sportsbook, you can make the most out of every game day. Bet on your favorite teams for a shot at winning big bucks. New customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting $5 on any matchup. Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the app now. Use code Shannon. New customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on.
That you got accepted at college at 7 years of age. You can read fluently at 3 years of age. So having that kind of knowledge, having that kind of prodigy, what was your upbringing? How was it? How was life as Katt Williams Crunk coming up?
I was often confused because I knew things and I wasn't sure how I knew them. I knew things that I felt like I don't have a reason that I know this, but I love to read. I was voracious because they told me when I was young that knowledge was powerful. that knowledge was power, and I had studied powerful people, and I really believed that. I immediately, my next project was to read the whole encyclopedia set. So when you're like 6, 7 years old, you read the whole encyclopedia set, you think you're one of the smartest people in the world,
right,
only to get out in the world and find out you don't know anything, you know? So it was a confusing time, but yeah, I had a childhood. I was grown, but I at 5 years old, I was in front of 5,000, 10,000 people giving a performance with a full suit and tie on. You know what I mean? So yeah. It came full circle. For my life, I knew that the applause and the giving of information and laughs and truth to people somehow benefited them and also benefited you. And yeah, so when they would ask me what I wanted to be, everything that I would say that I wanted to be was something that didn't exist. And they would never give me credit for it because I needed to say a doctor or a lawyer, but that's not what I wanted to be.
So your parents weren't as supportive as you would have hoped because you were wanting to be things when you got older that they had no knowledge of, or it didn't exist at the time?
No, it wasn't that. It was, I'm saying I'm almost 100 years old right now, but if we go outside right now, I can run a 4.340 or sub. I can do a 4.16 if I'm
there's Jimmy John's across the street. We can order a sub.
But
you've been on the submarine. That what you sub?
So back then it was even greater. So you got this guy that all the coaches want to play.
Man, Cass, don't do that.
Hold on, because I'm 5'5" in the 5th grade. I've been this high my whole life. Like, there was a portion of school where I was one of the big dudes. Like, as soon as everybody caught their growth spurt, I was out of there. But I'm saying I was a competitive individual. My father was an athlete.
I can see that.
Like, no, I've been 145 pounds my whole career. That's why I never bothered when they said, your cat's on drugs. I knew, how you gonna prove that? My body is a temple.
I've been the same size since I was 10.
Like, what do you? Yeah, like I haven't changed off this pivot foot. This has always been who I was before stand up or anything. But it was an interesting childhood. I appreciate my parents, even though I couldn't live within the religious frameworks of what they had set up. But that was more not wanting to live a double life and not want to embarrass my family. You know what I mean?
Because I read where a form of punishment for you is that they would take books because you mentioned you were such a voracious reader. And a form of punishment was when they would take the books for them because you could read fluently. You told me how at like 3 or 4 years old you could read, not just a little child's book, but you could read.
Well, I'm saying when we go to Haiti to do missionary work, understand that my mother and my father, nobody that's there with us speaks French. And, it speaks Creole and reads French. So I'm in charge of everything, from the housing to the cars to the gardener. Like, I'm saying, so I'm not just reading, I'm reading in multiple languages. Like,
How old are you at the time?
I'm probably reading 3,000 books a year. From the time that I'm 8 years old to the time that I'm 12. No fiction books at all. I'm only reading nonfiction.
You could drive. At 12, you received a full scholarship to the National Science Academy in Dayton, Ohio, but you failed, so you would become ineligible. Why didn't you want to take that opportunity?
I didn't see it as an opportunity. When I got in there, all the students were wearing lab coats, and it seemed very confined and restricted, and nobody seemed like they were having fun. It just seemed like everybody was smart. I didn't want that. That wasn't what I was signing up for at all. And plus, I thought that Jesus was my big homie. So you know how you get a story about a dude joined the gang and you get a big homie, right? Like, at this particular point in my life, my thought is that the Bible is the greatest book that's ever been written.
Okay.
that it houses the truth, and that it gives you this story of Jesus, and that I'm supposed to be like him.
Okay.
So it's already in my head that as soon as I get 13, I'm leaving.
You at 13, you don't only like, okay, Mom, I'm moving out. You moved from Ohio to Florida on your own. You weren't afraid. I mean, you like, did you?
Hold on.
Did you not have it? So what were you going to do when you got to Florida?
Don't say I wasn't afraid. There's no such thing as a human being of not being afraid.
Okay.
There are certain human beings that understand that being afraid in no way stops you from doing what you got to do.
Okay.
So I was afraid, but I couldn't be that afraid because I knew what had happened with Jesus. I knew how it worked out. I knew that I wasn't in the wrong with how I was feeling, and I knew that I didn't have any bad intentions in it.
Right.
So I trusted God that it would work out.
Why Florida?
Because if you're raised in Ohio, the one thing on your list is, I'm gonna get away from snow, and I'm gonna get as far. I want to go. Tell me the place. I literally went to a truck stop and I asked all the truck drivers where they was going, and there was one guy going to California and there was one guy going to Florida, and they told me how long it was gonna take, and so that's why I ended up in Miami, because.
How'd you get there? You caught a bus?
No, I just told you. I was at the truck stop.
So you hitchhiked?
I didn't hitchhike. I got in the back of the dude's 18-wheeler, me and my Rottweiler puppy and my suitcase. Yeah, because I probably had $2,500 on me, like I was shoveling snow and cutting grass. Like I always had pockets full of money.
When did you make the decision that you were going to leave Ohio and go somewhere? And it ended up being Florida. So, but when did you know that you were leaving Dayton, Ohio, going to Florida?
In my father and I's last interaction, somebody could have not made it. And we both understood that was all bad.
What was the disagreement about?
If you say that my family is very religious, just say I'm not. So anything that I'm going to do is going to fall out of the guidelines.
Right.
But I'm not going to let you tell me what I'm going to be, especially if what you're saying is wrong. I can't condone wrong. And if I find out that something is wrong and I tell you it's wrong and you don't back me, that's what it is.
Even as a young child, you were willing to tell your parents that some of the things that you're saying doesn't coincide with what I've been reading in the Bible.
No, very simply. Don't try to disfellowship me for sexual acts and I'm a virgin. Sorry, God don't make mistakes. You don't get 2 times to fuck me over. What do you mean you went to God and he told you I was guilty? You just lied on God. So long. That's it. There's no conversation. Deuces. That's what it was.
That's when you made the decision. After that conversation right there, you say, "No, I can't live under this roof."
It wasn't a conversation. It was an altercation. In the altercation, I love my father. My father loved me. But we are 2 men at it. It'll never be the same again. You can't sleep comfortably around me. And I can't sleep comfortably around you.
How similar are you to your father?
I don't know. He's a great